In a small coastal village where the sea meets the mountains lived a man named John. At 38 years old, John was known to everyone as the lonely fisherman. Every day, early in the morning, he would walk to the pier with his fishing rod and a peaceful smile on his face. What intrigued people was not his passion for fishing, but something much deeper. John never seemed worried, never showed anxiety, even when other village residents were in panic. During storms, while everyone ran desperately, John remained calm. During financial crises, when merchants lost sleep, John slept peacefully. People whispered among themselves, "How does he manage to stay so serene all the time?" The village's curiosity grew each day. Marina, a 29-year-old journalist who had moved to the village to escape the stress of the big city, was especially intrigued. She had arrived there with a racing mind, full of worries about deadlines, bills to pay, and an uncertain future. Her thoughts wouldn't stop for even a second. It was as if her head were a radio station tuned to multiple frequencies at the same time. Marina watched John every day from her house window and wondered, what is this man's secret? How can someone be so peaceful in such a chaotic world? One morning, Marina decided she needed to find out. She headed to the pier where John was sitting, watching his fishing line float gently on the water. "Good morning, John," she said hesitantly. "May I sit beside you?" John smiled and gestured to an empty spot on the pier. "Of course, Marina. I was waiting for you to show up." Surprised, Marina asked, "Waiting for me?" John laughed gently. "Yes. I noticed you watch me every day. I see in your eyes the same restlessness I had when I was younger." Marina felt she had found someone who could understand her internal struggle. John began to tell his story. 10 years ago, I was just like you. I worked at a company in the capital, always running against time. My mind never rested. I woke up thinking about work problems and went to sleep planning the next day. It was as if there were a noisy engine running 24 hours in my head. One day, I had an anxiety attack so severe, I thought I was going to die. That's when I made the most important decision of my life: leave everything behind and come here. Marina was fascinated but confused. "But John, did simply changing places solve everything? What if I can't leave my life in the city?" John shook his head. "It wasn't the place that healed me, Marina. It was something I learned here. Something anyone can do, anywhere." He pointed to his fishing line. "See that line? It taught me life's most valuable secret." Marina frowned. "A fishing line?" John nodded. "Let me show you." John handed a fishing rod to Marina. "I want you to do something simple. Cast the line into the water and observe. But there's an important rule. You can only pay attention to the movement of the line, nothing else." Marina found it strange, but accepted the challenge. She cast the line and began to observe. At first, her mind continued firing thoughts about work, bills, relationships. But John whispered softly, "Just the line, Marina. Only the line." Gradually, something extraordinary began to happen. After 20 minutes of watching the line dance gently on the water's surface, Marina noticed something surprising. Her mind had calmed down. The anxious thoughts had disappeared. For the first time in months, she felt a deep and genuine peace. "What's happening to me?" she asked, her eyes shining with surprise. John smiled with wisdom. "You just discovered the secret, Marina. When we focus completely on one simple thing in the present moment, our mind stops racing. The fishing line is just a symbol. The real power lies in full attention to the now." He explained that our mind is like a lake, agitated by constant winds, our thoughts. But when we stop feeding these winds, the lake becomes a perfect mirror, reflecting the peace that was always there. Marina, you don't need to be a fisherman to use this. It could be watching your breath for 5 minutes, focusing completely on a cup of coffee, or simply paying attention to the sounds around you. The secret isn't in what you choose to focus on, but in focusing only on that, leaving everything else aside. Marina finally understood. Peace wasn't in running away from problems, but in training the mind to find moments of calm, even in the midst of chaos. 3 months later, Marina still lived in the big city, but she was a completely different person. She had learned to create her own fishing line moments during the day. In moments of stress, she practiced the mindfulness John had taught her. The peace she had been seeking wasn't in a distant place, but had always been available within her, waiting to be discovered through the simple art of being present. If this story touched your heart and you recognize a bit of yourself in Marina, give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to find their own fishing line. In the comments, tell me, what would be your focus object to practice mindfulness? It could be a candle, a flower, or even your own breathing. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more transformative stories like this one. Until the next story, keep your mind serene and your heart at peace.